Hola guys, ¿qué pasó? How's everyone doing? This is Hala Pablo. Thank you for tuning in. Let's continue on with our Bitcoin update. I want to do a micro and a macro, real quick overview of what we're doing. And I want to show you that where we are right now is crucial. It's a very, very important juncture right now. This is the 2025 regression trend. This is the corresponding regression trend that we had in 2021. This is where we were. So in both schematics. Now we play 2021. So everything has been playing out so far. Like I talked about in the last video, I don't believe that these schematics, that this algorithm has been invalidated. I think it's still in force. I think it's still valid. It's still accurate. It's still relevant. It's played out. The swaths of the waves are different. It's always going to be different. Every cycle is different. Everything. It's always, there's some mutation in every cycle. That's normal. We see that in nature, right? Like you get an apple and you take two seeds from that apple and you plant those seeds, and let's say you get two apple trees. The trees are going to look different, right? They're going to be different branches. The configuration is going to be different. One tree is going to yield 52 apples, and the other seed is going to grow a tree that maybe does 76 apples or whatever, or maybe no apples at all. The tree's barren. So it's, just like that in price action, there's just maverick waves. There's just, and it's coded to take out the liquidity pools. So, but the apple tree never changes. The DNA of the apple tree never changes. And that's the macro structure. If we think of the apple tree itself as a macro structure, but the branches as substructures. And so we think of that, and the branches are always different. No two branches are the same. No two leaves look the same. You get the point, right? So it's just like that. If we can think of the waves within these structures as the branches. And so you're going to get long branches. You're going to get abnormally long branches like this ABC that we saw. We didn't have an ABC that big about 4 years ago. But the branch is in the overall branch is growing in the same direction. They're growing laterally, right? So you don't see branches in a tree growing straight down back into the ground, right? They all go in the direction they're supposed to be in. It's just the dimensions vary. So think of it like that with the waves. So the overall trajectory is still governed by the regression trend, which is bearish, and we see the waves playing out in the way that they've been coded algorithmically to go to seek out liquidity. And so that said, we've entered this, you see this kind of like this parallel ascending channel, which is the same. We came out of this redistribution. This is actually the same range. It's just we're going up to retest this micro resistance line in this regression trend. And I'd like to contend that this is an extremely important area. This is kind of like the Gettysburg of this structure, because if let's say the bulls fail to maintain dominance here atop this anchored VWAP. Now I'm talking about this dark blue anchored VWAP. We've already broken through the pale blue anchored VWAP, and that caused the actual first distribution from the diamond, from the parent distribution structure. But now we're in an LPSY, and this LPSY is probably not going to hold, because algorithmically we see what happened here in 2021. See, this is what happens if the bulls fail to maintain dominance. Okay, so it's already a given. We know that we're going to fall back into the trend. We're going to fall beneath the channel macro trend resistance. But even more than that, this is something that will signal fear. It'll be like a domino effect within the investors, and I believe it could trigger a massive sell-off. It could be the straw that broke the camel's back, the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back in this structure. Certainly we saw that if we look at this chart on the macro level. We see back in 2021 that's exactly what happened. See, this is what happened when it broke. It came back down. Yes, it did. and it went back to the micro trend support line, and then it came back up. And because you remember, price action likes to fill vacuums, it doesn't leave vacuums unmitigated. So it's going to come back up to this line again to do another test of where it failed. But this is traditionally where the confirmation of a macro bear market kicks in, when these two lines, you get these two anchored VWAP lines crisscross, and after this double break comes back down, this is the final hurrah. And if it doesn't hold here, then it's curtains. Then we could see something like these macro bear markets, like the 70% down, 60% down. That's where, worst case scenario, we can go back down and visit the 40s and the 30s. So this is where we are now in the macro. And so we're still, these lines haven't crossed yet, but we have to hold this. If the bulls don't hold this, then we're going back, and we're basically going back down into the 70s, and then I expect another maybe reconsolidation or an LPSY consolidation, and then another liquidity run up to this area, up to 85, and if it doesn't prevail there, then it's down, down, down. So yeah, this is very, very important. We see the algorithm almost tit for tat here. Here's the first shoulder, 4-point. We have a 3-point bottom. First shoulder, 4-point. We have a 3-point bottom. Marked down to this accumulation range here. That's this yellow box. That's this here. Of course, remember we talked about the branches on the apple tree. Every mutation, every cycle, it's going to be a bit different. But a tree is a tree. An apple tree is an apple tree. This is an apple tree, as this is an apple tree. It's just, this one's just kind of like deformed, I guess. Hasn't, just kind of mutated. But this is the same structure algorithmically. They're not going to print, the algorithm's not going to print out cookie cutter tops like this each time every 4 years. That'd be too easy, right? We'd all be millionaires many times over. But for a trained eye can count the waves, count the zigzags, and the running flats, and figure it out that hey, this is a tree. This is a tree here. And so if it's a tree, we know it's a tree. We've got the compass, we've got the formula, we've got the algorithm. We know what the general trajectory is, and then we just go off the volume, which incidentally, we'll go back to the micro on this. You can really tell, especially if you go down, have this on a 3-hour. Let's go down to a 30-minute, and you're going to see the effort. You see, look at all this effort here, all this bull effort, all this buying power. We haven't seen this sort of magnitude of buying power. Why here all of a sudden? Well, I'll tell you why, because we just looked at it. If we break down here, this is a serious precipice that we're standing on top of. I mean, it's down. We're going to go down, and we're going to mitigate. It looks like it mitigated the shoulder back in 2021. Let's go back out now to 3 hours so we can get a better, like more of a bird's eye view of this, of what's in store. So let's say if we don't, if this fails to hold, we're going to come down into this area. This is low 70s. That's the next step down. Here, this is where we're going to see, primary support come back in, like demand, but it's going to be fleeting demand, because down here already the sentiment is already going to be is already going to be embroiled in the in the minds of traders, both retail and commercial, that we've entered in officially into a bear market. So there's going to be prevailing fear, and then from there on the sentiment is just going to be bearish, and the question is going to be not are we going down, is it a bear market, but like how far down are we going? Are we doing the 70%? Are we going to mitigate the lows? Here, are we going to go down to this bottom here, into the 40s or 30s? It just depends, and everything seems to be setting the stage, politically, geopolitically, economically, with the tariffs. I just read this morning that Trump, the 25% tariffs have gone through on all foreign automobiles in the United States coming in, all the imports, and so yeah, that's going to have a ripple effect on so many things if it goes through. And then all the unrest, all the civil unrest brewing, you know, all the partisan stuff going on, and it's just, yeah, it seems like the stage is being set for this, breaking, for this ice area breaking. And so this could be like the Gettysburg of this structure. I was talking with my group today about how you think about it, it's kind of like Gettysburg. You had the Bears and the Bulls. Well, in the Gettysburg, those of you who know American history, you had the Confederacy and the Union. And the Confederacy is trying to go north. Think of the Confederacy like the Bulls, and then the Union's trying to suppress them to keep them out of the north, right? Gettysburg was like that watershed, that fulcrum point where if the South took it, they'd have a stronghold there in right in the throat of, like, you know, Union territory. So they had to stop it. It's kind of like this. If you think of this second anchored VWAP as, like, you know, like Gettysburg of a battleground. And so you've got the, you know, you've got the Union trying to stop the Confederacy. Of course, we know in with history that that the Union prevailed and they were able to stop the South. And so, but you know, this is kind of like, you know, the deal. If the bulls can hold here, then we might have an accumulation brewing here, and then this whole thing might reverse. But that would be an aberration, you know, algorithmically. That would be an anomaly, and it would break the algorithm. So I'm not saying that's not possible, but it's unlikely. And like we said, just given all the geopolitical fundamentals and all of the things going on, it looks like everything's just brewing up to catalyze a break and a victory for the Bears, you know, aka the Union. So if it drives the bulls back, then yeah, we're going down. And for those of us that are in cash, that's good news, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks, right? Because we want to swing the alts and everything, and we want to make money. But, you know, those of you who are versed in shorting, there's many in my group that do that. This is you can make money both ways if you know how to read the charts. If you don't know how to read the charts, check out our Discord trading group. First of all, subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. I see no reason why you shouldn't subscribe. We've been safe since the beginning of January. We've called every single distribution so far, when many others are calling for 120,000 Bitcoin, 200,000 Bitcoin. We were one of the few just calling distribution. We saw that the top was in. So subscribe if you haven't been subscribed, and if you're not subscribed. And if you'd like to take the next step, go pro. Learn how to read the charts. If you're, you know, don't fall prey to bogus signal groups, overpriced groups that don't really know what they're doing, and so they use bots to generate signals. Become your own signal producer. Learn how to read the charts like the banks read the charts. Learn how to read charts like a professional, like a hedge fund operator. You know, those guys mainly go off volume weighted average price, kind of like my charts here. Volume weighted average price, trend lines, support and resistance, supply and demand, Fibonacci, Wyckoff, volume spread analysis, algorithmic trading, knowing what the algorithms are, knowing where to find them, knowing where to find the fractals, and exploiting, kind of like going in tandem with the market maker, with smart money. We can't beat smart money, right? Because they've got all the muscle. They move the markets. They've got the algorithm. You know, they're the predators, and everyone else is the prey. So don't be the prey anymore. You could join our Discord, and I'll teach you how to swim in tandem with the sharks and kind of go where the sharks go. That's what we've been doing, right? We've been going where the sharks going. This is the pathway of the sharks, of the predators, and anyone who wants to go contrary to it gets eaten alive, and they blow up their accounts. And so I'm sure you know people that have done that. Maybe some of you have done that. You don't have to do it anymore. You could be safe in the market. So subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, then check out our Discord. May God bless you, God keep you, make his face shine upon you, give you grace in the name of Jesus Christ. Okay? In the name of Jesus Christ. All right, I want to bless all of you. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Be safe. Talk to you guys soon. All right, adios. Love you. Bye-bye.